Bernie Sanders stepped back into the spotlight last night to talk about Our Revolution, a new organization that was launched to help keep the political revolution alive and to support progressivism. So what I wanted to do was talk a little bit about what he said last night, what we all heard last night, and give a little bit of analysis. It's just me today. My name is Will Gaylord for LTMB. Mike is away on some business. So first, what I wanted to say was that it was good to see Bernie Sanders out there again talking to the people. It's been a long time. And we still support Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders still fights for progressive causes. We have to realize that before Bernie Sanders stated his intention to run for president, there were a lot of people that were involved in fighting for progressive causes. But with his candidacy, that grew by the millions, and now this is what the movement looks like. So we have to appreciate what he did for us. We have to appreciate that. Now, with that being said, I do have some issues with some of his current objectives and some of what he said last night and what he didn't say last night. So let's get to that. What he didn't say last night, he was talking about progressives to support, across the country. And while I know that this was an event, he couldn't just rattle off all the progressive candidates that are across the country that we need to be supporting, but he left off some key names. One of them is Alan Grayson in Florida. And more specifically, the other name is Tim Canova. Now, Tim Canova is battling the vile, the repulsive Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who just recently had to resign in disgrace as the chair of the DNC. So Tim Canova does need all the help that he can get because that district in Florida has been an establishment district for years. And I know that Bernie Sanders has fundraised for Tim Canova, but he hasn't campaigned for him. And actually, there's a petition out there right now to get Bernie Sanders to campaign for Tim Canova. So I just think that this was an error in judgment. I believe this move has to be criticized because I know that it's up to us. A lot of people have said, it's not just up to Bernie Sanders to help Tim Canova. And that's true. We need to be out there canvassing for him, face banking, phone banking, donating to his campaign. We all need to be doing that. But I don't think it was too much to ask for Bernie Sanders in this large event. For a lot of eyes were on this event. I don't think it was a lot to ask for him to say, let's support Tim Canova, because that primary is only days away now. That primary is on August 30th. So we need to do all we can to support him. Also, there was one thing that Bernie Sanders said last night that kind of snapped my head back. I was kind of perplexed. Bernie Sanders said that we don't want our government run by oligarchs. Like the way he phrased it, it was like a future thing. But we already live in oligarchy. That's our current system. That's what's currently here. We live in oligarchy. We live in oligarchy. We live in a plutocracy. We live in a corporatocracy. All of that is right now. It's not coming. We're not fighting against it in the future. It's already here. So for him to say it like we need to make sure it doesn't happen was like, what? One of our viewers, Patrice, said it sounded like Bernie Sanders suffering from Stockholm syndrome. Like maybe he's listening to Hillary Clinton and the establishment too much because he was the one that was saying that word oligarchy throughout his campaign. So we has to understand that we already live in it. It's presently here. So that was a little confusing. Also, he talked about the platform, the Democratic platform. And, he always talks about how it's the most progressive platform the Democratic Party has ever seen. And let's just go ahead and allow that narrative to be true. I'm not very impressed by the Democratic Party platform, but whatever. But he said that it's not going to just sit on a shelf somewhere and collect dust, that it's going to be fought for, that Hillary Clinton is going to fight for what's in that platform. And here's where I call bullshit. I don't believe that at all. I don't understand how you're going to keep Hillary Clinton in line, like you're going to force her to abide by this written platform that does not have to be abided by. Like, it's not a contract or something. It's just a piece of paper, really. How are you gonna keep her to her word or to the words on that document? People, and specifically politicians, criticize presidents all the time. We see that now. How often is Barack Obama criticized? And Bernie Sanders has criticized Barack Obama. Think about the TPP. Bernie Sanders has gone after Obama on the TPP many, many times, and he did so again last night. Do we think that Barack Obama is going to magically change his mind because of the criticism? Absolutely not. Because, see, they don't cater to our interests. They cater to their own interests. They cater to their donors' interests. This is what they do. So, like I said, the party platform, I believe, will collect massive dust under Hillary Clinton. Also, he talked about how Jeff Weaver is going to be the president of this organization, Our Revolution. A lot of people are dissatisfied with that decision. One, because they're not pleased with Jeff Weaver and where he might take this organization. 8 leaders have already resigned. They quit the organization because they don't believe in Jeff Weaver. So that's a concern. Also, Bernie Sanders not heading the organization. That's a concern as well. Another one of our viewers, Gabby, said it. It felt like cold water had been dumped on her when she learned that news, because who better than Bernie Sanders to lead the revolution, right? Now, I've heard some people say that, well, he couldn't because he's a senator, and it would have been biased for him to be a part of this organization. But I don't buy that, because think about it. All Democrats are biased. All Republicans are biased. They're all biased. They're all biased. They all have biased positions to represent themselves. And they're biased against us too. They're biased to their own interest. The establishment interest against the people. So I don't buy that it would have been a biased position. Of course, Bernie Sanders has biases. He's progressively biased, as are we. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think the biggest thing about what I heard last night was it left me with a question of, what's the backbone of this organization going to be? That's my question. Because if this organization is about champion progressive causes and helping progressives all across the country get elected, supporting progressive candidates, if that's what the intention of this organization is, then why aren't we starting with Jill Stein? Why aren't we starting with Jill Stein? Because Jill Stein is the only progressive that's currently in the race for president. Why aren't we supporting Jill Stein? So that's why I say, what's the backbone of this organization? What is it going to be? Because when things get tough, are we just going to bow out and just support the establishment candidate? Or are we going to keep fighting for progressivism every single day? When it gets tough, we're still there fighting for progressivism. We're not going to say, okay, well, we'll back the establishment candidate and we'll fight another day. No, every day. You see, being a progressive is not easy because the chips are stacked up against us. The establishment doesn't want our objectives to gain steam at all. They fight against us all the time. They don't want us to have a voice. They don't want us to have a big microphone. So again, what is going to be the backbone of this organization? Because as we know, Bernie Sanders is saying that we should be voting for Hillary Clinton. She is the antithesis to progressivism. The light on the other side of that tunnel, that the vehicle that's going to carry us there, does not read HRC. It does not. So again, that's what I'm saying. What is the backbone of this organization going to be? We'll just have to let it play out and see what, you know, how this all comes to fruition. I just don't know. I like the goal. I like the plight. You know, brand new Congress is trying to do the same thing. Elect 400 new progressive candidates. Like I said, it's not easy being a progressive, but it's the right thing to do, to fight for it every single day, because it's that hard, because the battle we're waging is that ridiculous. It's that ridiculous. They have a beautifully corrupted system in place. And for us to actually make waves, for us to actually gain some traction, it's going to take all of our efforts every single day and not waver. And I think advocating for Hillary Clinton, that's wavering, to say the least. So with that being said, there's a lot of extremism going on in politics, in progressive politics. And when I say that, I mean that there are a lot of people that have completely written off Bernie Sanders, since he endorsed Hillary Clinton. A lot of people saying, forget him. I don't even really want to hear what he says right now. You know, I thank him for what he did, but forget him. It's all about Jill Stein. I'm done with Bernie Sanders. Now, there's other people on the other side of that saying that, you know, we're going to do what Bernie Sanders said, you know, because look, he's fought for us, you know, through this campaign. He's fought for us for you know, decades. So, you know, there's a lot of things that he may know that we don't know. So he, you know, like I said, he just knows more. So we're just going to take him at his word and trust him and go where he is leading us. And to that last point, I say that's a little ridiculous. I think that's a little ridiculous. I don't think that's really logical, because look, I cannot advocate for voting for Hillary Clinton. I can't do it. I won't do it. I won't ever do it. Here at LTMB, we remain objective. Our plight is to hold accountable any individual, any politician, any group, any organization, no matter who they are. We hold them accountable for their words and for their actions. So we must hold Bernie Sanders accountable for his actions. Like I said, a lot of people are apologizing for Bernie Sanders, and that rubbed me the wrong way, because when somebody says something and that doesn't sound right, and now you have to kind of make sense of it and say, well, okay, well, he said this and he said that. Well, he's done so much for us, so let's just keep trusting him. Let's just keep trusting him and go where he leads us. No. That's not how it goes. We don't blindly support anyone. We're not going to blindly support Cornel West. We're not going to blindly support Nina Turner. We're not going to blindly support Jill Stein. We're not going to blindly support Bernie Sanders. It's not going to happen. And why isn't it going to happen? Because we're free thinkers. We think critically. That's the whole reason that we supported Bernie Sanders in the first place, because he wasn't even known to many people that ended up supporting him. But when we heard his words and when we saw his track record, his decades worth of track record, we said this is an agenda that we can get behind. So it wasn't about the man, it was about what he represented. So when he starts representing something else, you got to question that. And like I said, I still believe in him. I still believe he wants to fight for progressive causes. But through this organization, like I said, I just don't know where this is going to go. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. I agree with what they say the plight is. But again, what's going to be the backbone of this organization? I just don't know yet. So that's all I have. Leave your comments below and tell me what you think about my analysis. Tell me what you think about what you thought of what you heard last night. And let's have a discussion. One more thing. Football season coming, right? Jets, 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 Jets.